or fourth time we were there, and it was the final day of filming. We were actually just down there to pick up, I think we might have shot an interview that day, but I think it was mostly, oh yeah, we did shoot an interview that day. We actually shot Dave Payton's interview. We were there mostly to shoot B-roll, and we were in the TNT area setting up for the Marcella Bennett scene, which is the scene where we actually projected the interview onto the inside wall of the bunker. That bunker was just covered in these massive spiders, like half the size of my hand, like just big, nasty looking, thick legged spiders.
Wow.
Mutant spiders that were probably some sort of holdover from World War II.
Yeah, that's wild. I've seen snakes in the bunkers, and then I found a deer carcass out there, but other than that, I haven't had anything too crazy happen. I haven't seen a naked Japanese man.
Yeah, you got to go in a little bit more. You got to keep in mind, like, I've been in there in all seasons, spring, winter, fall, and part of that, determination to just keep going into the TNT area is what led me to eventually seeing the naked Japanese man. So
next time I go in a little deeper.
Yeah, you gotta really be committed.
Yeah. So who all is on the team, and like what are their parts on the team? I know Lyle Blackburn, right?
Well, Lyle hasn't actually been involved in any shoots. Lyle's narrator, and then will help with co-writing on some of the projects. He's been involved in Boggy Creek Monster, and the Mothman of Point Pleasant. So 2 out of the 6 we've made so far have involved Lyle, but Lyle is narrating the Bray Road Beast, and then he's going to be very involved in the Momo movie we're going to make.
Nice.
So Lyle's a part of the team. Mark Matsky has been around since Boggy Creek Monster, and he's involved to greater or lesser extents on any given project. Kind of, actually, as it might sound, but kind of based on whether or not his son is in school at the time. So Andy has been going on some of the shoots with us. So Mark and Andy are part of the team. Mark usually helps with co-writing. He's also involved in shooting behind-the-scenes footage. Mark will be going with me to the West Coast later this year, to Washington and Oregon, for some on-the-trail of Bigfoot shooting.
Nice.
But he's also narrated, obviously, Invasion on Chestnut Ridge, which he did a great job on that, and he narrated On the Trail of Champ, and he'll be narrating On the Trail of Bigfoot. And then his son Andy is kind of like our key grip, I guess you'd say, or like a gopher. He just kind of does everything, and he's extremely go-get-em, so he's a huge help. Jason Udis, we call him our production manager, but he's kind of like an all-purpose workhorse on the set, although with Bray Road Beast, he's also become our sound designer and sound engineer, so he kind of handles all the recording of audio interviews. Zach Palmisano is our director of photography, and Brandon Dalo is our music composer, and he's done some of the sound recording as well. And then there's been some other people that have come around, for like Aaron Gascon was involved for Boggy Creek Monster, and one of the days on Mothman, and then my friend Luke Gall was involved with Moth. So there's some people that come and go. Right now, we just added, like, one of the big pieces of the team that we added in the past few months is Santino Vitale, who did the stop motion and miniature sequences in the Flatwoods Monster movie. And he's like on another level from the rest of us. I think that kid's going to be like the next Steven Spielberg. And he the work he's done on Bray Road is really mind-blowing. And on Bray Road, he acted as second camera assistant, but he's also handling a lot of the animated sequences that are throughout the film. And then we, from the art side of things, we've got Matt Harris, who's been involved since Minerva Monster. He does illustrations. Brandon Scalf contributed some illustrations to this one. A guy named Brian Surway, who you can find on Instagram. He's a really talented artist. He's involved. And then we've got Chris Scalf doing some animated pieces as well. So the team is always expanding, and it seems like we're always finding new people that are extremely talented who want to be involved.
That's great, man. I really like the Bray Road Beast poster, or I guess that's what.
So the production producer team is myself, and then Adrian, who's my wife, and she's also been acting as our design person, and she's the one that designed that poster. She also did the Invasion on Chestnut Ridge announcement poster, and the Mothman poster, the alternate Mothman of Point Pleasant poster with the moth on it, with the bridge in it and all that stuff. It looks really cool. And the On the Trail of Champ announcement poster. So she kind of handles the business side of everything and keeps us from going under and going bankrupt.
That's amazing. Her job. It sounds like a great team, for real.
Yeah, it is. It's really crazy. It's the coolest part about it for me is Zach, Jason, and I grew up together. So
yeah,
and when we were growing up together, this was what we wanted to do, was make movies. We used to make short films and stuff together, and talk about how we wanted to do this for a living. So to be able to do it with those guys is kind of unbelievable to me. I mean, I meet people who I haven't seen in 10, 15 years, and they're like, "Do you ever see Zach and Jason anymore?" I'm like, "Yeah, actually." We travel all over the country together. So.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So you were working on, you worked on films before these films, on other films?
No, I mean, when I was about 18, I met Zach outside of a Borders Books, and I was holding a New York Film Academy flyer, and he was dreaming of going to film school, becoming a film director. And him and I kind of hit it off over our interest in film. And so we started making shorts and stuff like that when we were probably in our very early 20s, 21, 22. So that is the extent of my film background, is making really bad short films on high 8 tape that we showed in the living room of our apartment to some friends, who probably told us to never quit our day job.
So the first full feature film was The Legend of Boggy Creek.
The first feature length movie was Boggy Creek Monster for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we made Minerva Monster and Beast of Whitehall, but both of those are under an hour. So we learned a lot by kind of cutting our teeth on what I would consider short films. I mean, I would consider Minerva Monster and Beast of Whitehall to be short films, and I love short film format. That's actually my favorite format. I prefer shorter form stories over these longer form stories, but we've made of the 6 movies we've made, 3 of them are less than an hour. So 3 of them are shorts, and 3 of them are features. And then, right now I'm working at Bray Road, which will be another feature length. So I don't know if we'll do too many more of the shorts, unfortunately. I'll probably play around with the short form kind of stuff with projects like Case Files, but
the Case Files.
Yeah, but when it comes to the films, we made Flatwoods Monster as sort of an experiment to see if we could still put out that sort of short form documentary and have it be successful. And it's definitely found an audience on Amazon and stuff like that. But unfortunately, with Amazon changing their pricing payout and stuff like that, there's financial risks at this point that are associated with making a short film. That weren't there, even like a year ago. And the fact is that The Flatwoods Monster was the most expensive movie we've made.
Mm-hmm.
Which, having said that, it's still like grossly under what any other sort of, indie, kind of mainstream documentary would cost. But it was definitely a hefty price on that one, and there were a lot of risks that came with it because of Amazon's new pricing payout. So I got to tell that story as a short form documentary, but that'll probably be the last sort of short documentary film we make.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I was gonna ask about so what exactly got you started on doing the cryptids and things like that?
When I didn't grow up like interested in this stuff. I really didn't. I wasn't even very aware of it until probably the early 2000s. And I've been saying lately, I think that the movie The Mothman Prophecies actually kind of introduced me to the idea that people believe that these strange phenomena, that there's a reality behind them. I think it was that movie that actually kind of clued me into that. But I didn't get into Bigfoot until probably 2005, 2006. And when I got into it, it was simply because there were people that were having sightings of Bigfoot sort of outside the small town that I grew up in Ohio, Bolivar. And I would just drive down to the area where the sightings were happening and drive around like a crazy person. And if I saw someone out walking around or something, I'd just pull over and start talking to them. And that was kind of my first like introduction to talking to witnesses and people about the strange and unusual. And so from there it just kind of ballooned. And I worked a lot of desk jobs over the years. I did medical billing for years, and while I was doing that, I mostly just sat and listened to podcasts. So I came to know a lot of the people that I work with now through listening to them repeatedly on podcasts. So it's kind of weird for me because like a lot of these people that we talk to, there's almost like a fanboy thing going on with me that they probably don't realize. Like, because back in the day, I would listen to interviews with them, and there were people that I really liked to listen to. Like Stan Gordon, I really enjoyed listening to interviews with him, and Lauren Coleman, Lyle Blackburn, those guys. And then you find yourself sort of, working with them and a part of that community. And so for me, I started out as just a fan of this subject, and that, it hasn't been that long that I've been into all this, but I do know that even from the very early stages of getting into all this, I saw a need for visual storytelling about cryptids and stuff.
Definitely.
That wasn't what was on TV. Everything on TV is sort of the same thing, just repeated over and over. It's like typically just guys running through the woods, trying to prove that there's some sort of cryptid in the woods, and that has never been something that I really like, that draws me in. And I totally get that there's an audience for that, but it wasn't something that drew me in. And so what I wanted to do was, make content that appealed to me. So that's kind of what set us off on the road of making Minerva Monster.
Yeah, I definitely love all the films. Like I've got Mothman, Invasion, and Flatwoods Monster, and now Champ. I need to get. I've watched all the other ones on Amazon, so I think I've pretty much seen all of them. I think I've seen all the case files too, and I had that same kind of fanboy thing when I met Scott Martis at Creature Weekend, and then we kind of hit it off because he was from Alabama too, and then he's been on the podcast a couple times, and just I consider him a good friend, honestly. But like after seeing him on TV and stuff, I was like, I've seen that guy.
Yeah.
Same with Lyle Blackburn.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, right, and I think a lot of people like that, they might not even understand that they have weirdos like us out there that are actually would